Hello, my pygmy puffs, my deckled edge beauties, my book depositories. Say hi, Amber. It's been a minute, so let's quickly catch up. Lately, I have been consuming all things Julie Andrews. I am officially getting my PhD in English this fall, and I have learned all the lyrics to Kendrick Lamar's DNA. I think that pretty much catches us up. Today though, I want to talk about 5 of my favorite Shakespeare speeches. This isn't by any means an exhaustive list, as I could make whole videos on every single one of these speeches and then some. The 5 speeches I talk about today are really great for those of you who want to dip your toes into Shakespeare but don't want to commit to reading an entire play. As a culture, it's been hammered into us that Shakespeare is unquestionably the greatest writer of all time, which is a little bit tiring, and I mean, even Ember thinks it's annoying. But really, it just makes most people, me included, want to do this to Shakespeare.
Yeah. That is for every schoolboy and schoolgirl for the next 400 years.
All I'm saying is read Two Gentlemen of Verona and see for yourself that even Shakespeare can write some total and complete duds. So whether you want to know what all the fuss is about and discover if Shakespeare is for you, or you just want to read something awesome, these speeches are a really great place to go, and they work extremely well even removed from the plays in which they appear. So let's jump into it. The first speech I want to talk about comes from a comedy called Much Ado About Nothing. It's a speech Beatrice gives right after her cousin has been accused of adultery and left at the altar.
Oh, that I were a man! What? I'll bear her in hand until they come to take hands, and then with public accusation, uncovered slander, unmitigated rancor! Oh, God, that I were a man! I would eat his heart in the marketplace!
Hear me, Beatrice.
Talk with a man out at a window. A proper saying.
But Beatrice!
Sweet hero. She is wronged. She is slandered. She is undone.
Beatrice!
He is now as valiant as Hercules that only tells a lie and swears it.
Eat his heart in the marketplace! Ah, so good! This speech is the ultimate women supporting women declaration. Beatrice wants to defend her cousin, but she knows her defense won't be considered valuable simply because she is a woman in this society. Beatrice is frustrated by society's expectations for both women and men. And I gotta be honest, this speech is kind of like a powerhouse 16th century version of this song.
If I were a boy, even just for a day.
Beyonce and Beatrice, 2020. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, at one point in the speech, Beatrice says that her cousin's fiance is now as valiant as Hercules that only tells a lie and swears it. This is to say that even when men knowingly lie, as long as they swear they're telling the truth, they are much more likely to be trusted and believed simply because they're men. This is painfully relevant even in today's world and by today's standards. The next speech I want to talk about comes from Hamlet. It's hard to choose just one speech from Hamlet, but ultimately I went with my favorite Hamlet speech, which is when he openly talks about what depression feels like. He's talking to his oldest friends about his unhappiness, how beautiful things don't move him anymore, and how he's perpetually skeptical and disappointed in people.
What a piece of work is a man. How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. And yet, to me, what is this? Quintessence of dust. Man delights not me.
Captain Picard from Star Trek also has an incredible moment with this speech that I will link below. Everyone needs to watch it. It's really short and really good. But again, this is just so painfully relevant. It is, of course, beautifully written and acutely observed, but the speech itself is dark and hopeless and unapologetic in its honesty. This speech is basically a heightened version of what Andy Dwyer says in Parks and Rec.
Andy, are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine. It's just that life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired. Also, I can't sleep. I'm overeating. None of my old hobbies interest me.
We live in a world where Hamlet and Andy Dwyer have something in common. I mean, if that isn't proof that Shakespeare is awesome, I don't know what is. Next we have one of the sweetest speeches ever written ever, and it is Juliet's "Gallop, apace, you fiery-footed steed" speech from Romeo and Juliet. Oh, I love this speech so much. Basically, this speech is just about how pumped Juliet is to sleep with Romeo. They're married, they're in love, and she's just aching with impatience because she's just so into this guy.
Come, night, come, Romeo, come thou day and night, for thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow on a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving black-browed night, give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars. And he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Oh, I have bought the mansion of a love, but not possessed it, and though I am sold, not yet enjoyed. So tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them.
In this speech, there's this lovely juxtaposition between innocence and sexuality that never seems inappropriate or misplaced. Juliet has proven herself to be a smart, capable person throughout the entire play, but she's also a young girl in love. There's just so much truth and nostalgia here, especially for those of us who remember what it was like to be in love for the first time. Next, we have a mesmerizing prison speech from Richard II. For basic context, Richard was King of England, and then he was deposed, and now he's struggling to figure out who he is without the title of king. He's lonely in prison and starts to fantasize about turning his thoughts into actual people to keep him company. But perhaps the most heartbreaking and sobering realization in this speech is when Richard talks about what it feels like to be nothing. The next clip does a fantastic job of showing the chaos of a busy mind left to itself.
My brain I'll prove the female to my soul the father, and these two beget a generation of still breeding thoughts, and these same thoughts people this little world. Thus play I am one person, many people, and none contented. Sometimes am I king, then treasons make me wish myself a beggar, and so I am. Then crushing penury persuades me I was better when a king than I am kinged again, and by think that I am unkinged by Bolingbroke, and straight I'm nothing. But whatever I be, just any man that but man is with nothing shall be pleased till he be eased with being nothing.
And in staged productions, there's actually music happening in the background of this scene, basically underscoring Richard's melancholy like we're in an episode of Grey's Anatomy. The speech is cinematic in scope and performance. But even if you just look at the speech itself, it's extraordinary how brilliantly this captures loneliness and what it feels like to be lonely. Finally is a speech that makes me feel super giddy. Not quite as giddy as you, Ember, but super giddy. It comes from Falstaff, which is my favorite Shakespeare character of all time, just in case you were curious. And it is found in Henry IV, Part 2. It is literally a speech about how awesome alcohol is, or how awesome sack is, as Falstaff would say it. It's a bit of a weedy speech to navigate, but it's worth the effort, especially if you consider that Falstaff is giving this speech in half jest, half total seriousness.
If I had 1,000 sons, The first humane principle I would teach them would be to forswear thin potations and addict themselves to sack.
While this is a totally charming speech, it also speaks to the kinds of things people will do to become someone else or even numb themselves. At this moment in the play, Falstaff's identity is a bit fractured. You can even see it here. One moment he's serious, the next he's making us laugh. He's trying to find his own way through a world that is changing without him. Or as Nick Miller so aptly puts it,
You treat an outside wound with rubbing alcohol, you treat an inside wound with drinking alcohol. Science.
Sir John Falstaff and Nick Miller 2020? No, that would be terrible. Hilarious, but definitely terrible. Okay, those are my 5 picks. I will link below where you can find these speeches online. In the comments, let me know what you think if you read them, and also let me know what your favorite Shakespearean speeches are. I'll see you all soon.